Hi, thank you, Dr. Ligon. I've been asked to speak about turning insights, the research that you guys do, into measurable impacts to our DHS operations. So first, let's level set. I don't know how many of you are aware of DHS S&T, so we'll start there. The Science and Technology Directorate of DHS strives to develop and implement technology solutions that address our nation's most pressing homeland security challenges. S&T's efforts are aligned with the 5 mission areas of the Department of Homeland Security, shown here on the slide. S&T views the department's mission areas through a technology lens. We seek capabilities for preventing terrorism, securing our borders, enforcing immigration laws, securing our cyberspace, our critical infrastructure, and strengthening resilience to disasters. We work collaboratively with many partners in the private and public sectors, to include academics such as yourself. We work to identify and develop and share resources, capabilities, and perspectives about best practices and methodologies for protecting the nation. Now we'll explore the S&T Office of University Programs. So the Office of University Programs is actually charged with establishing and managing these large centers of excellence. We do the following objectives through our centers of excellence, researchers such as yourself, our education and development for workforce, and our minority serving institutions. Our objectives are to generate, advance, and disseminate knowledge, prototypes, and technologies in support of DHS component identified operational and strategic objectives. We would like to build a stable community of Homeland Security researchers and education of US colleges and universities capable of providing DHS with novel insights and approaches in diverse scientific domains. And we want to strengthen the US scientific leadership in Homeland Security research and education. We want to develop the Homeland Security workforce of the future. Now, there are a lot of benefits to researchers and students such as yourself. This includes access to DHS components that will help increase the relevancy of your research, the opportunity to help improve DHS operations overall, to advance the scientific knowledge in your specific domain, and last but not least, to be a part of the center's large network of experts. Okay. With that, we are showcasing the next slide. I'm not going to go into a large detail of this, but I just want to highlight a unique aspect of this program is such an emphasis that we place on transition of research. We want to transition it into actionable insights that our DHS component end users could use. This is done through knowledge products, through software, and through hardware. You're not at this alone. If you're a researcher looking at this chart right now, don't worry. DHS and NCITE's core infrastructure is here to help you along the way. First, we start off with the challenge area. We work with end users, which is our second bullet here, to identify areas in which we need help with. These are research areas that we're actively facing, but it also can address future threats that we don't even know about. Once we come up with the challenge area and identified end users, to include state and local and non-governmental officials, we then have to measure the benefit. Why are we doing this research? We want to make the most of our taxpaying dollars. So what can this contribute to DHS operations, but also protecting the homeland as well? This brings us to our baseline. How do we know what benefit we will receive out of your research if we don't have a baseline? Baseline, as you know, can be hard because number one, you may not always have access to that information. It may be sensitive, law enforcement sensitive, or just classified altogether. Or we might not know. A large aspect of the counterterrorism kind of space is it's hard to quantify what your research is actually doing because it's supposed to be preventative in nature. We'll get more into that later. But next, you conduct the research. You identify, you apply your scientific methodology and techniques, you work with your end users and your DHS components to come with what you think is a solution. We may look at that solution and tweak it here and there. That's where we refine it. Once we're done with refining it, we can really see the impact of that. So then we turn around and calculate the benefit based on the baseline information that we have. But it doesn't end there. As you saw on my previous slide, we actually want to transfer this research into the hands of end users. This could be DHS components or just for the public good. Okay, sorry about that. Next slide. Okay, so quantifying impact. I actually borrowed this graphic as well as the guide that was submitted to each of the researchers by Lauren O'Malley. She is UNO's business student, and this is just a good model of how UNO is using their students to actually affect change. So SCRIPT, what does it stand for? This is how we can start identifying the baseline that your research is going to contribute to. This could be improved signal detection, improve cost savings to operations, reduce risk and increase security. What I would argue the most important is the value of information. We can do improved performance as well as the value of training. And one thing that mentioned here that we could lump into value of training is actually training the current and future workforce. What does that have on our economy, the effect to our operations, and at large to the society? Okay, quality, timely, and reporting. So yes, I'm your DHS program manager, so it can't all be fun and games. How do you communicate the great research and the progress you're doing to me as your program manager? You can do this through multiple ways. This includes your work plans. So when you submit your annual report work plans to NCITE for review, I also receive those. I provide them with the Federal Board of Directors as well as our component stakeholders for feedback. We take a look at your methodology, we analyze your baseline metrics, we try to figure out who could be additional end users to support your research. I pay close attention to your milestones and deliverables. Through this, we can measure your progress through annual and semi-annual reports. This is why it's so important, although you may know your progress, to include your progress to us. This allows DHS to identify any areas that you're having challenges with that we may be able to help you with. Finally, your deliverables. Your deliverables just don't sit on the shelf. We will publish the deliverables, we will market them to end users and our state and local partners, as well as we want you to get out there and publish so you could advance the research in that area. And lo and behold, what I would argue is also very important is marketing material. We want you to get out there, speak at conferences, and really highlight the great work that you do. One thing to remember when you're creating the marketing material is not everyone's a technical expert. So we will work with you to refine the material so that non-technical experts could also understand what you're trying to do and the impact you will have.